This is the Impressions Exchange Podcast. Where all topics impacting the graphic imaging and printing industry are addressed via in-depth news coverage, analysis, and timely interviews.
Hi everyone, I'm Kaylee Vandewater, Associate Content and Online Editor for the Printing United Alliance media brands, and I'm on site at Printing United Expo in sunny Orlando with Amy Servi-Bonner. She recently joined the Alliance to lead our brand new Printing AI Consulting Services team as Vice President of Consulting, Applied AI, and Printing Technology. So welcome, Amy. It's great to be chatting with you today.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. Is there any, you want to introduce yourself a little bit before we get started?
Yeah, so I just recently joined the Alliance under the Printing AI brand. My experience has been the past 27 years working in technology changes, business transformation, digital transformation, things like that with companies. Always been really focused on people, process, and systems. And so when I was approached to lead this team, it made perfect sense to me because AI is where we need to be at this point in the industry.
Yeah, definitely. So kind of jumping off of that, can you tell me a little bit about what excites you most about your new role and the Printing AI offering?
Sure. So it's the fact that we're not just talking about AI, we're actually applying it in ways that are meaningful for printers. Printing AI isn't about another vendor tool or a buzzword. It's about helping printers own their data and their processes and ultimately their AI IP. So that means building smarter, safer, more scalable businesses and not just plugging into someone else's system. And I know that a lot of the speakers today are talking about, getting your feet wet with ChatGPT and, some of these other walk-up tools. But what we're really advocating under the brand or the banner of Printing United Alliance, Printing AI, is that let's try to look to build a platform that really pushes real change.
Right. So you kind of talked a little bit about it, but from your perspective, where is our industry right now when it comes to AI adoption?
So we're kind of in an awkward middle school phase is what I like to call it. So we're like, we're curious. Some people are experimenting, but we're just not quite confident yet. And some printers are, they're automating tasks and, dabbling in some of this stuff, but they're still asking the question, like, where do I start? So, today at the pavilion, we've had several people walk up and just ask, where do I go? Like, what do I do? How do I even get into this? I know I have to, but what does that mean? I don't even understand it. So that's what we're here to do, is to build the awareness, the strategy, where the strategy isn't. So build the awareness where the strategy is not, and then, see where there's areas that we can start to fix.
Right. So I was wondering if, in terms of directing people where to go, are there differences in how AI can be useful for small shops versus larger printing operations?
Well, what's been interesting in my experience with the print space, and I, used to work in the ERP side of things. So companies would, come over and chat with us about, the use of their existing applications. So maybe people were using Excel, or they had some system that someone built, 20 years ago, or they went off the shelf and they bought something that, was very niche to their segment of print. And they just figured, we're small, we can't, we don't need that other stuff. But the processes and the problems are all the same, no matter what size of printer you are. So how AI helps is actually, it's going to be interesting to see how the smaller shops actually affect what happens, globally and holistically in the industry with data and their own processes as it compares to the bigger organizations. So again, looking at this kind of holistically, everyone's got the same problems. We just need to figure out how to fix them.
Yeah, and that kind of leads into my next question: the problems. What sort of challenges are you seeing printers face when they're starting to look into AI?
So a lot of people are looking at AI as a product instead of a process. And you can't just go buy AI. People literally today were chatting, and I always ask the question, so what are you doing today with AI? Well, we bought this AI tool, and it's like, well, okay, you didn't buy anything, you've subscribed to something. That's not, you're renting. So you have to train, the way that your people are doing things, you have to train those walk-up or subscription-based tools on your data, which is a challenge, and that's not necessarily secure, and that's not necessarily governed. So what we're seeing is there's also cultural change management that has to happen. We had one of the speakers earlier today talking about on the sales and marketing side how to leverage AI and how to put people through like a change management process, because people are going to get nervous about what that means to their jobs. How does it affect my day to day? And printers are masters of repetition, so and AI thrives on that kind of iteration and experiment. So we're just looking at it really being a mindset shift. So,
yeah. So kind of leading into my next question again. How do you respond to concerns about like AI coming for your jobs?
Oh, yeah. Well, somebody I was chatting with yesterday said that there's a billboard in Times Square or something that said AI is coming for your job. That's actually what it says. And that couldn't be any farther from the truth. So it won't replace people, but it will replace people who don't use AI, if that makes sense. Okay. So this is about augmentation. It's not about elimination, so it's going to help people do things right now where maybe they can't get to it. It's, again, repetitive. Maybe it's a time to value thing. It's a margin, it depletes margin. And usually these tasks are pretty low value. And so that can really suck the life out of teams, and so if we can let AI handle those, so people can focus on actually things that help grow the business, like creativity and service and innovation, no one should be concerned about them it taking their job.
Right. I think that's like probably the biggest misconception about AI.
Yeah, it's definitely one of them.
Is there any other misconceptions you're seeing?
Well, like I said, people think they're buying AI, so that's a misconception. I think that, they feel like they have to spend a ton of money to start to do this, and they don't. There's, again, plenty of ways to be able to, start even using like Microsoft Copilot. I've talked about this quite a bit in other events that I've done with Printing United, where 98%, I think that's the number of companies are using Office 365. Well, right there in that productivity tool set, that platform, you have AI, you have Copilot, Microsoft Copilot. And what we've seen is, people that are heavy Excel users, people like in customer service or project management at any of these, printing companies, they're using Outlook as their way to transfer files and to communicate with people. Well, that's all great and well, but what if you could, get Copilot to assist you doing certain things or provide more visibility? Outlook can be a black hole for people. Excel can be, that tool that people use outside of systems. So there's silos being created. So there's things like that people can already start to get comfortable with and confident. And it's not just Copilot. Gemini's got something for Google for if you're a Google shop and you're using Workplace. Just start to get your feet wet with the things you know how to do today.
Right. So I know some people might be avoiding AI for a lot of different reasons, but some people might be looking at it and saying, I don't think it's as big of a deal as it is. It might be a little bit too hyped up.
Right.
How do people tell what tool is going to bring real value to their shop versus something that's just all talk? And
it's funny that you say that, because tomorrow at 2:00, and I'm not hyping this up, but I'm actually doing a 30-minute session on, don't buy into the hype, because there is tons, and that's what also creates a lot of the confusion. So it really does start with figuring out if your company is even ready to engage with AI. If you've got systems that are, you've got a different system for every part of the business, you've just created a really unstructured data environment. And so you're not even ready to do anything. But there's companies that are willing to kind of redesign processes and redesign the business from the system side of things. And if they can do that and those systems can support the processes, now we're talking. But again, it's not a size thing. Size doesn't matter with AI. It's really about, just making sure that people understand how to leverage the technology within their current infrastructure. Now, if there's opportunities to replace things, that's great, but that's not where we're headed. We don't need to start with that as a first step. So I guess to answer your question, how would they know which tool to use? We have to figure out what the strategy is first.
Okay. So obviously AI is a very fast moving area. But what do you think AI is going to look like in the future? And obviously, maybe we can't project out like 10 years or so, but maybe a year from now, a couple years from now, what are you thinking?
I see people becoming more educated about what the differences are between a chat GPT, a Copilot, and what it would look like if they actually had their own large language model built for their company. And also, we're going to start to see changes in legislation. I think we're going to start seeing some things come out about proprietary prompts and people actually considering those intellectual property. I think we're going to see some of the players that are in the space today coming up with different approaches to how people pay and how AI is commoditized. So the big players like Microsoft and Google, they're going to want to make money on the data that's going into those systems. And so there's going to be a change to that. So, right now you can use Copilot. If you have a license, you can use chat, if you can buy certain things, but it's going to become even more, I think, segmented. And I think that's going to be a point where people are going to say, okay, do I want to keep subscribing to ChatGPT, even though it's the enterprise version and it's not supposed to put my data out there? Or are we going to want to do something internally that's more responsible, more governed, and more secure?
Right. So I'm wondering, there's a lot of different ways that AI can be used, like across the workflow and all sorts of different parts of your business. What do you see as the most exciting opportunities for printers to innovate with AI?
Well, if we say partners, are we talking about the OEMs and or are we talking about companies? Like print companies.
Print companies.
Okay.
Yes.
So I see right now there's on the imagery side, obviously, you can create new images and stuff with AI, but I see that becoming there's a gap that needs to be bridged between the creative side and the quoting and estimating side. There's a huge hit there. If we can nail that one, that's going to provide a ton of value to people. Production scheduling is another area of the business where we're going to see some pretty big wins. Shop floor integration, where you're seeing AI do some predictive, modeling, predicting things like, take apparel, for example, if a thread, on a loom or something or whatever they're doing is about to snap, things like that prevent downtime. Sales and marketing, those are good hits, but people are already kind of, doing certain things like that today, writing content like the speaker mentioned earlier. On the accounting side, reducing your days sales outstanding and trying to figure out how to get cash in the door faster. So that also contributes to things like your job closeout process and stuff. So it's kind of a quote to cash opportunity right now is what I see. But there are some quick wins along the way that we can get, which I think over the next 12 months, people are going to want to dive into those head first.
Yeah. So there's obviously some other emerging technologies that touch print, robotics, computer vision, smart factories.
Mm-hmm.
How do you see those intersecting with AI in the print space?
I see all of them intersecting. And I think that, as we, AI can really be the brain that kind of truly ties it all together. We are moving towards, I should say, a truly self-aware shop floor. Where machines can anticipate, they can adjust. I mentioned that just, a minute ago about, predictive maintenance and preventative maintenance. They can even communicate real time with, your MIS or ERP system. So it's not sci-fi anymore. It's like actually just smart manufacturing with ink on it is how I see it.
Yeah. And I guess kind of to wrap us up here, for a printer who wants to start exploring AI but feels overwhelmed by just the sheer
information
out there, what's one small step that they can take today to kind of start that journey?
Yeah. Start by measuring something that matters. So whether it's waste or it's downtime or it's response time or it's quote accuracy, something that you can measure that matters, and then ask what data drives this. Mm-hmm. And then that's where AI can begin. You need visibility right now. So from there, you can start to connect the dots. You can start to begin to get some insight, and then you can start to automate. But if you can't measure it, it doesn't really matter.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think the data is like such an important
huge data. Yeah. Huge piece of it. Yeah, absolutely.
Well, awesome. Thank you so much
Thanks for having me.
Chatting with me. I really appreciate it. And is there anything you want to mention about, obviously the AI consulting services are new. So
yes.
I don't know if you want to talk a little bit about
I'll do a little plug.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Printing AI Consulting Services, the expo is the launch of all of this. It's a ground up initiative that we started with the intent to bring awareness and assistance to print companies, whether they're your print company that's actually producing ink on paper, or you're a supplier, a vendor of some nature, software company, just trying to connect the dots for everybody. And by offering the consulting services, not only do we bring that element of awareness of how to, again, bring people, process, and systems together, but we know the industry. So no longer do people have to go out and hire a consultant that you have to teach print to, and then you have to teach people about your business. It's something we can help you with. And we've got a whole, there's a whole laundry list of services that we're offering, from an AI readiness assessment to, if you want to look at a new system, like a new ERP or MIS system, we can help you through the selection process, kind of be like that, neutral party that represents you with the vendors and let them fight it out. We do Copilot training. So Microsoft Copilot, if you are interested in getting involved and learning about how to leverage Copilot, we have a whole service offering around that. We can actually develop and design your own AI system. So that large language model I mentioned, where it's responsible and it's using your own data within your four walls, we can develop an application for you. Right. We're also doing cybersecurity, because you can't, you want to be able to protect what you're building.
Yeah.
And then lastly, if you want to hire somebody to help you through the process, we offer fractional leadership. So people like project managers or CIOs, or a CAIO, which is a new term, chief, artificial intelligence officer, so that you don't have to go out and hire somebody that, again, doesn't know the print space. We're trusted, we're advisors, and we just want to make sure that the print industry doesn't get left behind.
Yeah, I think that's awesome.
Yeah.
But this has been a really enlightening conversation. So thank you so much.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.